Hello and welcome to the Sterritt Strategy Podcast. I'm James Sterritt, as you can see over there. I'm CEO and lead designer at Sterritt Strategy Publishing. And with me is my sort of co-designer and co-developer.
On a good day. I'm John Sterritt. I occasionally also go by the nom de jure Strategis Primus. My information is on that side.
Who are we? Well, so in general, we've been around for a little while. Since roughly 2012, we've been sort of creating small, independent, not widely published sort of board games.
Small circulation prints,
yeah,
that sort of thing.
We've tried Kickstarter, we've tried other, avenues for, publication and process. But in general, we're looking to, sort of mix it up. What we're really trying to do this year, and have done with you and your non de jure and the rest of this sort of stuff, is create more of a community about games and not just their development and what's up in the rest of it, but what the sort of gaming in its entirety is about, with our focus being on strategy and strategy games. We have a list of products that are currently for sale. That's not always the huge importance. Our background, as you can see on this channel, started with a game called Condottiere Conflicts.
Yeah,
it was about small arms, medieval melee sort of conflicts. It was a hex and chit style game. It's going to come back pretty soon, probably within the 6 months, as we probably within the next month start designing hex boards again. As we mentioned in the Kickstarter, way back when, it was a difficulty to sort of produce the things. We figured out how to, and we have the money to do it.
And now we're finally getting around to making them back.
Making them back again, and making them, since it was clear from people that we've sort of met, both in the area and online, that, not just hex and chit needs this sort of development, but also a miniature market, such that, you can float in a sort of a multiplayer sort of environment with this system. But we don't just do that. Our next title was very much a Merchants of Freeburg. It was
it looked like a Euro game. It was not a Euro game.
Right. So it wasn't that, the big point was it wasn't violent. It dealt with merchants in a town trying to survive together, but competitively, and you played out some roles, you did your little bits and pieces. In general,
who had the most money won the night.
Right. Short, maybe about a 2-hour game. Not exactly a casual play, not exactly a long sort of play. Its bigger problem was it got designed and developed as small groups of people added and contributed. What we're really looking to do now is get a large group of people together to make contributions to a games as they get designed. And that's really what this podcast is about, is reaching a large audience, getting a large amount of feedback, and seeing how things can be built. Equally, the problem with Freeburg is it didn't, at that point, have a designed back lore and story, which means that there were all kinds of vague ponderances, but no real, cohesive narrative to drive what was going on.
So we would make changes over here in development off of what would mechanically work, and slowly lose sight of what some people were playing the game for.
Right. So what ended up happening is we, as developers or a products company, we have 2 or 3 little things that work with it, and we wanted to expand more, but it didn't quite fit.
Yeah.
So what will end up happening, and this is really where we're going, is we're going to be developing 2 systems of lore and mechanics that, one will expand upon the Freeburg system, and be very focused upon merchants and companies and forming a group of people, and you, as that group of people, the player controls the group, interact with the world. And then our second system is the one we're going to be focusing on tonight and in this month of October, with very lovely Halloween and Shemane aspects to it. So tonight is more or less to you.
Yes, I've been the one to more or less run pioneering and development on the Black Lodge idea. It's a little bit interesting. The premise of Black Lodge is that the player is acting as a secret society, or a member of a secret society more specifically, trying to mess around with magic and generally influence events.
Events as in like an alternative history.
Yes. This originally stemmed from a role-playing group I played with a couple of buddies of mine at college, and then just branched into madness from there, as they often do. Into its own alternate timeline, where from the start year, which is now 1805, although they're going to be saying, what happened to 47? It's 05 now.
Okay. It started in, 19th century.
Yeah.
It's very much about an alternative pathway from the 19th century onwards. But as you can note now, you're writing narrative that's based in the 1807, and it'll take it out.
1805, and it will take it up to 47,
okay.
The original role-play system.
So this is like Napoleonic-esque.
Yeah, it's
sort of stuff.
Napoleonic, in case you're not too clear on what exactly everything is. 05 is the sort of beginning of the War of the Fifth Coalition. The Napoleonic Wars are dragging on, and it's...
But this is before Napoleon going to Russia.
He's not an emperor. He's not gone to Russia. He's barely started entering the Germanies.
All right. 5. So as we'll link in the description, you can go and find that narrative, and you can sort of read where this is, and you can get a sampling of that story. But we're going to get back to our main point.
Yes, of course.
And our main point isn't just where we're going as a company. We want to use this podcast to do some other details. Those other details are going to be today. We're going to talk about what is strategy and what is this genre that we like to look at.
Yes.
So, strategy games first up, both of us have experience in
playing way too many strategy games.
Well, yeah, and experience in academic game theory, which isn't, the like channels you would find on YouTube about game theory that's talking about, the things that are in video games. No, we're talking about strategic thought. Yes. We're talking about abstract mathematics that deals with making decisions.
And interacting with others.
Right.
Largely.
So, what is strategy games?
That's a little bit harder. See, to us, strategy games are not your, most people when you say strategy games, they immediately think, okay, are we in 4X or Grand Strat?
Or like, historical war, that kind of stuff.
A couple econ sims, maybe. You might get somebody to that level. But, to us, a strategic game is really any time that we're having an interaction with multiple players with multiple needs, and you have ways of determining your actions to actually gain those desires. So, for example, if I have a conversation with him where I want him to agree to X, Y, or Z, and he wants me to agree to A and B, that's technically a game.
Right, and so the main point, that you actually use more precise language, is when you expound interaction, because you just dropped it and left it. Interaction is purely, we talk about interaction in games all over the time, and it is the interactive medium. What separates it from narrative.
Yes.
Okay? It isn't purely the ability to just walk around the world. It's to have a range of choices
that have impact.
And determine outcomes.
Yes.
That, things that you will get at the end that will change the end of the game. Who wins, who loses, the nature of the story at the end. Yes. But more importantly, by the choices that you make compounded against the choices I make as two players, that changes the outcomes. And it isn't what one can just do and decide and calculate for the best strat. It's this combined
balance between two players.
Right. That's what really makes strategy games that we're looking at.
Yes.
So, for example, there are great interactive games that are narrative-based.
Yes.
But they have little to no choice in them. They'll take you down a linear map, or they'll be in a big open map that you can explore, but your quest lines are go out and do everything. You don't have a choice in the world. Yeah. Now there are games that are starting, we're just getting to the point in gaming where it's becoming more popular to have these more open-ended titles. Yeah. First, it was very much binary ones, or a sloppy middle in a binary.
Or maybe 3 choices.
To give you examples, Dishonored really broke from the RPG action-adventure where you definitely had a one or the other, and if you played the game on each level, you would build towards one or the other or some sloppy middle.
Yeah.
This is a fine example of something that's definitely not considered a strategy game like the traditional Civs or Paradoxes or simulations of cities or any of the more traditional games which have these vast arrays of how you create within them to something that you could play through and get one way or the other.
Yes.
Now within board games, everything is strategic.
To some level or another, just by the nature of board games. You have multiple people at a table, and more often than not, you're actually playing against each other.
Right.
There are plenty of Euro games, however, where you're not playing against each other.
You're pretty much playing yourself and the best one.
And you try to help everyone else at the table, and you feel very good at the end of the week, or you hate humanity.
Which still is strategic. And if you have build options and build choices that truly have one way or the other.
Yes.
We can go down lists of all this sort of stuff.
And then there's soft strats and hard strats and tactical strategy.
Which we'll get into much more. And there will be a detailed article, links in the description, on classifications and all that. But what we here at Sterritt Strategy more care about is exploring what these strats are. We want to, we're thinking about trying making guides and products as you've made. What is that little label over there?
Oh, Strategist Primus?
Yeah, what is Strategist Primus?
Strategist Primus is the wonderful persona that I occasionally put on to do guides, videos, walkthroughs, playthroughs, all that sort of thing. I'm on YouTube, also on Twitch. Easiest way to find me is YouTube. If you're on Sterritt Strategy at the moment,
it's in the other channel.
It's in the other channel. We're linked on the main page. You just go there. It's the SP guide in gold on black. Oh, jeez, I'm matching.
Oh yeah, that's probably his persona to begin with.
Yeah, probably. And Strategist Primus basically offers playthroughs and guides to, at the moment, a very wide number of Paradox games, as well as Verdun and a couple of other lesser extended into other titles.
Right. It's going. This is probably the big open-ended answer or question that we have to a community. Is we would like to create somewhat of a gaming network that could talk less about maybe AAA and the standard batch of indie titles and focus more on just one genre. Yeah. So like if you're into strategy games, like. Why else would you be listening to this by this point?
I'd be kind of confused if anyone who doesn't know what strategy
they could be waiting to see Black Lodge, which will be at the end of this. We'll go for a deep dive on
the lore of Black Lodge, how it was created, as well as walking you through the Black Lodge game.
Yeah, we're going to game, as in card game.
Yes.
Card game.
Card game. It's sort of like a board game, but it doesn't have a board.
Pretty light, pretty casual. It took us about 30 minutes to an hour to play.
Yeah.
All the way out to an end point. The real point and goal would be you could do this as small, 5-10 minute single exercise points.
You're waiting on your buddies to actually start whatever role play.
If you're doing a full night, or if you're doing just lighter play in general. So yeah, that's where this is going. However, we'll probably have a couple other segments that we'll hit along the way. So that's what your Strategist Primus is all about.
Yes, on a good week.
On a good week.
On a bad week, it's trying to kill people.
A lot of Paradox titles. I know you do a lot of CK2.
Oh, man.
Crusader Kings. And its many mods. Yep. That includes Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, CK2 Plus. I've been touching a couple of bits into After the End. That might be coming. Or, depending on when this video comes out. We'll see.
Yeah, who knows what time it is. And then you also do Verdun.
Yes.
So how does Verdun fit into all of this? And excuse me why I suddenly...
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Give him a minute. And we're back. Sorry, he had a phone call. These things happen while recording,
Yeah, it's on silent now, so we don't have to have that worry.
Okay, so I believe you were asking me about how does Verdun fit into the rest of what I play.
Right.
Yeah. Verdun looks like a shooter, smells like a shooter, plays a shooter because it is.
For those who haven't noticed or know what we're talking about, Verdun is a video game that is based on World War I, predominantly the Western Front, even though Tannenberg is about to drop in a couple of weeks, which will be the Eastern Front, of Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-505.
Which is Germany, Austria versus the Russians.
Versus the Russians, and some Armenians, maybe.
We don't really know all details on it yet.
Nope.
But in general, we're talking about a game that, Battlefield 1 attempted to be like, but is quite different.
Excuse us.
We have another
phone call. I love my life. Sorry about that. Apparently we're popular today. Always when recording, right?
Right.
So very much Battlefield 1 tried to cover the entirety of World War I. They did a kind of okay job, but they very much treated it as...
Oh, we don't need to get into nitty-gritty.
How do you go AAA game?
Nitty-gritty is we're talking about a World War I shooter.
Yeah.
Why on earth would that be strategic?
Because I primarily play as either an officer or a couple of different roles that have a lot of strategy built into it. As an officer, you have to go give orders to your men.
For the other players in the game.
Figure out where to put the mortars, figure out where to call in supports, general sorts of not just looking down a gun and killing people. And as several of my other roles, I tend to be the guys trying to get in and storm and clear a trench, and that's their primary focus.
That's actually the real major difference.
Yes.
Is one of the modes of play.
Yes. Which
is the main mode of play that the majority of people play in continuously.
It's where the community is.
Right. There's still community in some of the other versions,
totally.
but the main game.
Yeah.
And since everything is on multiplayer, automatic
access servers.
Right. It's to go trench by trench through a map. And you have objectives that have to be completed in a certain amount of time to get from one trench into the other trench and then clear it of the other team.
And if you take too many casualties while doing so, you're not going to succeed. You get less time to do it.
Right. And longer respawns and all kinds of other problems. So it's very much on the tactical strategies of the officers to run people down the map.
To try to figure out the most efficient way to get your gangle of shooters from one side to the other.
Right. Which will have a wide variety of experience levels, talking to each other and not talking to each other.
Or trying very hard not to talk to each other.
Know how to follow people, not know how to follow. I mean, all those sorts of problems. But you have to actually think about how to enter and do the rest of that sort of stuff.
Yes.
So that's what makes it into more of a strategically compelling sort of game.
Yeah. It's not just, it's not like your good old, everyone's favorite Call of Duty where you sit around and just shoot people all day.
Right.
You have to actually move around, you have to know how to move, and you need to know what kind of roles are good for what kind of positions.
Right, and for what kind of objectives.
Yeah.
Not to say that the main AAAs are responding to this game because it's been out for a little while, and in the future probably will change how this goes. But these aren't just like capture points and capture stuff.
This is trench line.
These are trench lines with objectives and that sort of nature. And players who act as commanding officers.
Which doesn't really happen very often.
Right. That's the big difference.
Yeah.
Which means that the player actually has decisions that actually get made.
And then you have to convince other players to follow the decisions you made. Which is always entertaining.
So, yes. But that's not the only kind of different thing on the horizon right now.
Definitely not.
So, this is our new segment, Games on the Horizon. These are games that we think are interesting, that you might enjoy, that are coming up.
That are either just out,
open access,
barely got
early release.
release.
Definitely need new people to sort of respond and talk to them. In general, we just are looking for comments on, do you think this is a strategy game? Would you play? Are you excited?
Yeah. Where's the hype at, guys?
Yeah. Or which of these would you care about? And the big three that we're going to be talking today are the Guild 3, Black Death, and Selig. Well, okay. What would you call the group of all three of these?
All three of these are games. First up, they're not all directly related to each other. Two of them are rather close, the Guild 3 and Selig, but the Black Death is inherently different from the other two.
Okay, so let's talk about the first two.
The first two, the Guild 3 and Selig, are very much games about controlling a family, or in Selig's case, a single dude, through a period and trying to grow and develop a company, a pile of money, and a township, or however you wish to play.
So it'd be like Banished.
For one, but
you play as one person,
a couple of people
in a town.
Yeah.
I don't have the details in front of me about which one has multiplayer, or are they both multiplayer?
They're both going to ending up towards multiplayer. The Guild 3 will be multiplayer in a couple of months here. They are in a very early access.
I think the plan was end of November.
End of November. I don't know if they're still on schedule. What I do know is they entered their release extremely early, which is good. On one hand, you get to provide feedback through a wider swath.
But expect to not have a finished game and be providing feedback. We're into that. We're talking about that.
Yeah.
But most people giving reviews right now, particularly on Steam, aren't up for that. They thought they were getting the Guild.
Yeah, as in the Guild.
Which is an amazing game. This is their third iteration. Yep. They've done this style play before.
I mean, I count the Guild 2 Renaissance as practically
probably one of the best games out there.
Third iteration, and this will be the fourth iteration. They just finally changed the number on it. But that's just life for you.
So the big differences is the Guild would be medieval sort of Northern Hanseatic League.
Yeah, late medieval period,
late
1800s.
Yeah,
they'll probably extend to the Renaissance like they did with the previous one.
Right.
And Selig is very much Dark Age. They're 800 Anglo-Saxons.
Right, in
England.
Amazing. Dark Age towns, different ethnic groups, different language. I think is also in it.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
There's some drama going on.
Yep.
But this is where you sort of pick up the third one in the pile.
Yeah.
And Black Death is, what would you call that? Each person can run a multiplayer server that can be up to 50 players playing each individual.
Who is one individual plague doctor.
Oh, no. You can play a plague doctor, or a merchant, or
a number of things.
There's different kinds of things.
A plague doctor.
Which are just like the other ones, where you play one person.
Yes.
But instead of playing like over the centuries or over a long period of time,
you're playing over very short.
The plague has hit an area that is this map. There's one map at the moment.
Yes.
It's very early stages. But it's a little more polished than the others.
Yeah.
There are 100-ish NPCs.
Yes.
Those NPCs interact like it's a
general,
like it's any RPG. And the plague, the Black Death, the bubonic plague is coming through. So you have to sort of deal with this bigger interaction than just merely trying to make money.
Yeah.
Equally, you can do those sorts of marketing sort of things, but you probably don't have the time to sort of sit around, build a house and empire and logistical sort of networks.
I mean, they're in the game for you. It's just you're going to have a bad time.
Very late end.
It's a late end game
where the others start like that.
Yeah. In the Guild, you start with enough capital, already having a house, and basically being able to invest things. That's the Guild 2 of this. Guild 3 have moved on a little. You're now starting with. You now have options of how you want to start. You can start penniless and migrate, but most people will probably play it like the Guild.
The big reason I brought this up for the podcast is these are a different kind of strategy game.
Yes.
You're pretty much, first player or, was it isometric over, one or a couple of players, a couple of entities that you play as.
Yeah. Normally people think strategy game, I'm controlling the fate of a nation.
Right, or a town, or something that's large, and I'm going to make a lot of decisions about how it grows.
Or a ruling family.
Right.
Keyword ruling.
Right.
I'm seeing you, CK2.
In these cases, you're not really in power. In the political power or have all the things.
You will have your tubers in them, especially in the Guild.
Yeah.
you will almost always end up running for an office at one point or another because running for office is fun.
Yeah, so it's
something to do.
There are components of the game, but you don't necessarily control the whole thing.
Yeah.
And there are other titles that sort of have this weak sort of power, but they're new. Urban Empire attempted this. It didn't do very well.
Its execution isn't the best, but
it is a fun game. It probably just needs more maps and more details, but those are really hard to create in that particular environment. Again, that was a game where you actually had to win political power
to build the city.
To build the city along the path of the game.
So unlike SimCity or what's the next title?
City Skylines.
City Skylines, that's it.
Yeah, or a Banish or any of these other simulators.
Where you're a dictator for life, basically. Right. Called Mara.
Right.
You can do anything.
Right. You have full control of the budgets.
Yeah.
And pretty much unless you run it really into the ground,
you still have control.
Yeah, you still have control.
You would have to be utterly incompetent.
And then once you lose control, it's over.
Yeah.
Whereas in these, you can pop in and out.
Yes.
And very much in the three that we've mentioned, you're not even in control.
Yeah, one and or two of them, you are definitely not in control. The guild, you will most often end up ending.
I would actually make a fair wager the other two.
We'll probably
have that, but we really haven't explored it
as much. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what those are all about. Any of these you would recommend? I mean,
I've played about 15 to 20 minutes of the Black Death, and it was amusing for 15 to 20 minutes of play. I barely made a character and walked off, and already I was saying, okay, this is not your average RPG.
So I'd expect this is probably something that's going to be on your Twitch.
Oh, it's coming soon.
Okay.
The Guild 3, the moment that thing gets stable enough for me to risk recording it, because to run OBS and the Guild 3 at the same time sounds like a lot of load. And yeah, I'm running an Alienware, but risk, man.
Right.
Selig, I haven't gotten as deep into as you have, but it looks entertaining. It looks like everything you would lay out in a bear trap to collect me. Mainly Saxons, and that's all you need.
Again, it's very much like the Guild 3, but it has a different time period.
Yes.
Which means that logistics are going to be a little different. The politics are going to be a little different. And what's happening in each of the maps is a little different. I haven't played very much of it. But it's coming out. It's on the horizon.
Looks fun.
These are the ones we recommend.
Of the three, I think the Guild 3 will turn out to be
the best, but it's not there yet.
But it will take probably a year and a half.
And then, we got probably a fourth one to add this, and that's Bannerlord.
That's Bannerlord. Bannerlord is the sequel to Mountain Blade. For those of you who don't know, I am obsessed with Mountain Blade. However, I'm not good enough to put my videos up on YouTube for it.
Right. So there's a huge map that's probably the size of a small continent.
Small continent, large empire.
You go across many nations. You go to many towns.
Yep.
There's lots of NPCs to go fiddle with. There's been a single-player game in Mountain Blade.
Yep. It might be capable of turning into multiplayer in Bannerlord. The devs haven't quite said yes or no to that. They'd said they'd like it to be able to, but we all know how developers speak.
Right. And, yeah, this is a developer podcast.
Filthy words.
In general, these are all in that nature game where you're playing within a larger world, and you have all these different avenues for how you can interact with it.
Yes.
In Bannerlord, it would be much more of you're like a mercenary.
You're a mercenary merchant adventurer trying to muck around the world, raise up men, and make a name for yourself.
Right. Whereas the Black Death, you're very much a
nobody.
A nobody, but probably a doctor.
Yeah. A doctor, maybe a merchant.
Maybe a farmer.
Currently, you can only play as a plague doctor.
Oh, okay.
That's why I said you started to play doctor.
Very sorry. I thought they had some others.
Not really. You can focus on other things than just being a plague doctor, but you start as a plague doctor.
I told him to look it up. The guild, you got like 4, maybe 6 options of play style.
You have three major options,
but none of them are particularly
flushed out at the moment.
No. Of all of them, none of them are like mercenary. You have roguish types.
One of those roguish types is pretty much a mercenary.
But in Bannerlord, like, you'll fight wars.
Yeah, in Bannerlord, you're fighting straight up big heated wars.
You know,
This
big
is fighting
conflicts, hundreds of people,
between
or hundreds of NPCs at least, fighting against each other. Whereas in the guild, you're probably
getting like
thieving and highway robbery and that kind of stuff.
Yep. I anticipate the Guild 3 will include a lot of the components seen in the Guild 2. It just doesn't quite have them yet because they're in early production.
Right. Sally, which is also in this early stage of production, I think it's potential that it actually might have a little bit more war in that Dark Age sort of style.
Oh, yeah.
We might see
the Dark Age.
50
wars are 100 guys.
50 versus 50 NPCs.
That would be a large battle.
Right. This is more of those light skirmishes. I think it's
skirmishes,
possible.
Heavy raids.
Haven't really looked into it enough to see if it's capable yet. The main focuses are in the 3 that we picked.
If you let us know,
are in
things about selling that we don't, let us know.
Yeah, we like to hear more about these things. So those are the 3 games on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What we're really here for is this new title of ours that is coming out. This is in development. The title may change.
Possibly.
The game is going to be probably called Black Lodge.
Yes.
What is a Black Lodge?
So, Black Lodges, this is a little bit of a history dive. Black Lodges were a subunit of various secret societies.
Talking about fraternal organizations.
Fraternal organizations, and not all of them were fraternal, but secret organizations that dabbled in mysticism from the late 17th to mid-19th to late 19th century.
Okay.
We're talking about very much Hellfire clubs all the way up to...
Right. So these are, in
all
general,
sorts of people.
What people used to do before TV and video games.
Yeah.
They're going to explore some fantasies. And
they want to go mess around with some really cool literature.
Equally, we're in the vague inklings of the Enlightenment.
Yes.
Which means, people were a little more exploratory in ideas.
And these Hellfire clubs.
So witchcraft was being tested.
Yeah.
Theorized about.
Spiritualism was rampant. We are pre-modern. Spiritualism was rampant all the way until the early 20th century, and it's still rampant. Now that I think about it, I'm going to Salem this weekend. Oh, yeah, right.
Right. We're about to celebrate Halloween. This is a real major topic. Let's be honest. Most people do have that fantasy, particularly with their friends, of having that secret organization with the handshakes and all the little sort of stuff.
You know what I'm talking about.
Right. Most likely, if you're still watching, you've been waiting for this because it sounds awesome, or you've been involved with John's group, or, you're up on this sort of stuff.
No, I won't give away your names. They don't exist.
No, by John's group, I mean the group that he's been doing this as a game, and this is your homebrew RPG.
Homebrew of an RPG from something off of White Wolf.
That's great.
It was tasty.
You're going to probably be creating narrative out of that more than anything. If we're really good,
yes.
There are a couple RPG-ish
systems.
systems and release mechanisms that we know and are active with their Kickstarters and their development process.
It probably won't be in the original White Wolf that
no, but it might be pretty close to it. Yeah. It might be a part of what they're doing, which is potential.
Yep.
That's a pretty late goal. We're not really interested in that. What we're interested in now is what your narrative sort of is, and what we're doing with some of these cards out here to make a short, to-the-point sort of card game that you can play.
Short, sweet little game.
Right.
So the basic premise of Black Lodge is there are
books. You're predominantly set in
Cambridge.
England,
not Harvard.
Very much, this is steampunky?
I'd call it more Victorian. It has pieces...
you're Georgian, but...
we're in the region superior, if we're going to be brutally honest.
Okay.
But it's not quite steampunk for only, 2 reasons.
Okay.
Technology doesn't have the same primacy it should.
Okay.
Because that makes it steampunk.
Yeah, we're talking about magic, we're not talking about
magic
tech.
And we're not really punk.
So okay,
those are our two problems. We're steampunk.
So it's like this neo-historicism.
It's this neo-alternate historicism that happens to be anchored in the Regency through Victoria.
Okay. Whereas in punk, there's going to be this sort of dilapidation of society.
Yeah.
A fine example of why this punk label gets thrown around a lot is it started with cyberpunk.
Yep.
If you need an example of that, that is the original Blade Runner movie ethos began to create that.
If you want to get an answer for another punk that gets thrown around a lot, would be diesel punk, and a good answer for that would be Mad Max.
I'm actually not.
They're sort of diesel punk. They sit next to diesel punk.
Again, we're talking about things where society is crumbling and breaking.
Or at least their original couple of pieces of literature were all about the breakings of society.
Right. Either there's been an apocalypse, or there's been some major technology, or they're very much set in the future, and they have this grimy sort of feel.
Yeah. There is steampunk that doesn't obey this, but I argue that steampunk should start calling itself something else.
Right. It's a popular genre. It's not just narrative or in movies.
It is a culture.
It's a subculture. There's goths, and then within goths there's the happy-go-lucky people that might wear some tan and have some old clocks. It has music. It has comics and what other people may call comics,
films
and film, and
really what other people may call comics.
It's predominantly based in a lot of narrative and stories.
Well, I mean, they started extrapolating on the works of Verne and Wells and all those,
which is taking a lot of the old science fiction when it originally started.
Yes.
I shouldn't say so originally. That's the way too hipster. But it's the old school sort of stuff being brought to life, and that's really what makes it cool. Is it can be quite literary in what it does, but at the same time be sort of new and breathe new life into this stuff.
So, what I also might call myself on a given Tuesday.
Well, not your stuff.
Well,
this topic.
Not necessarily me. Good catch. It involves a lot of arcana and mysticism and rites and things. And I've done a bit of a dive through the literatures that surround these sorts of things. I find them fun. He finds them BS. I find them amusing.
Well, no, it's for a game. It is a fun thing to talk about.
Yes,
because you get this mystery added to everything, where what we generally would perceive as the world
might not be the world.
Actually would normally exist.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
it's being turned.
You can see where the cracks are. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you did a fantasy closer to the Harry Potter, where people could just wash their dishes with magic. Magic is so common that is just its own new world. It's a great story.
It's common in its own little segregated off community.
Yeah, true.
But this is its own little segregated off community that isn't really all that segregated off. It's really more like a gentleman's club sitting around, or maybe not quite gentleman's club, sitting around with esoteric knowledge and powers beyond the usual.
Right. Where they might be able to exert influence on the real world.
Yes. And every once in a while, they might change a major event, or cure something, or kill somebody, or figure out something major.
Right. So very much in your story, again, link in description. It'll be the first link.
I hope so.
Which is about, it's a short story on your central characters that are in what you're doing, starting the Central Lodge in Cambridge, United Kingdom.
Yep. Down the street from Queen's College.
Yep.
Again, I picked Cambridge because immediately...
It's a fun...
First up, immediately when you think about this stuff, you go, wait, who told you all this stuff previously? Newton. Oh, we have Newton.
Okay.
Newton's in Cambridge.
Well,
shit, we're in Cambridge.
So this is... It's about the dawn of science. Yeah. It's very much going to be about the dawn of
Enlightenment ideals.
Technology.
The dawn of those, it's sort of the highlight reel of them. Because the dawn of the Enlightenment takes place much earlier, but we're still riding the high.
We're dealing with the impact of this.
Yes.
And since these topics are pretty much in our forethought in the modern society today of being questioned, or asking if there's still relevance. People who have doubt on why thinking in a certain way might be necessary. This is, probably a fun story that goes, okay, let's imagine some mystic, non-scientific stuff exists.
What would a scientist view it?
How would somebody who is of a scientific mind view that kind of world?
Yes.
And that's really what makes that narrative interesting.
And yes, for those of you who have played the game,
played your homebrew.
It's played the homebrew. It's good old Noxie boy. We're gonna have fun.
So it's Noxie. What about the other character?
His name is Costain. They might recognize him more by a name that he'll get later.
Okay.
But the main two characters are a dottery professor and a slightly unscrupulous surgeon.
Okay.
Almost entirely unscrupulous surgeon.
Okay.
And the two of them taking their own very old school British persona and viewing that silly thing of magic. Oh wait, shit.
Okay. There are other topics like this. I'm going to have to mention Mr. Morrell and Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Or do I have
Jonathan Strange and Mr. Morrell?
Okay.
Okay.
It was a BBC York series. A little bit of, I think, maybe Canadian television was
Canadian
also involved.
television as well. It's based off of a novel.
I'm not good enough to know the novel.
I know the novel. I can't remember who wrote it. The link will be in the description.
Okay.
It's quite a good read, and it made a very good series because they sped everything up a little.
Right.
My one problem with the novel is, oh man, it's getting slow in the middle.
Not to say what you wrote is somehow.
Oh no, it's getting slow everywhere.
You have a very similar time period.
Yes.
And a very similar sort of idea with this two group.
The main difference is between me and Norrell is Norrell and Strange might have slightly different opinions on the correct usages of magic, but they both largely agree that they should generally spread some or maybe not as much of the information around. The gentlemen I'm working with are of the opinion that you should send
the characters in your novel.
Yes, sorry, gentlemen in my opinion.
You live this a little too close, man.
It's fun. are largely of the opinions that you don't share this information regularly.
Right, and you use it for your own personal gain.
Oh, well,
whereas these
they're
guys,
that a little, but yes.
In that story, they're a part of the state almost.
Yes.
They're parliamentary.
They run with Parliament. They help out
noblemen and that kind of stuff.
Noblemen, the army.
It's a good story. It's a definite watch.
Oh yeah.
But I would also say this is going to probably start to disassociate itself in that you will have a lot more characters that are all part of this lodge.
Yes.
Where you're probably dealing with what 20, 30,
depending on the year. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to grow over time.
Yes.
And each one will be developed.
And pretty nuts.
Right.
Because remember, you have to be a little out of it
to be a
go looking for magic at this time.
Yeah. Probably not as out of it as like today.
Oh, true.
Mm.
Well, I mean, it's fun.
Debatable.
Anyway. So as I've mentioned, this is an alternate history. I'm working with a slowly divergent alternate timeline. We start to read...
Oh, I'm going to back you up.
Yeah.
Alternate history.
Oh, alternate history?
Yeah.
Okay. So alternate history is the writing genre. Some people claim it's either historical fiction, some people claim it's science fiction, some people claim it's some damn thing. It doesn't branch near any of the rest of this.
It floats between all of it.
Yeah, that basically works under the premise of, okay, so history is going to occur. This one or maybe a few things change. How is the timeline different?
All right. This is the works of like Harry Turtledove.
Yep. The gentleman who wrote the 1637 series.
Frost, I think is his name, but I could be wrong. That's the Ring of Fire series.
Yeah. Quite good. It's all about the 30 Years' War and throwing a bunch of American hicks into it. Kind of interesting, really.
Yeah. And then the technology that they bring with them as well.
Man.
So there's lots of there's a lot going on with this. Yeah. And if you were interested in alternative history, there's a good channel called the Alternative History Hub.
Hi, Cody.
That is specifically about that.
Yep.
But you're not just that as a topic.
No.
We're dealing with Arcana, we're dealing with magic, we're dealing with these things that have occurred, but they're like secretive.
Yes. We're dealing very much.
But then they're also going to be affecting changes that will deviate history from what's going on.
Yes.
Okay.
So my deviations, as that obviously summed up, are very subtle to begin with, and then they become much more apparent.
Okay.
From the piece that's up, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you can tell, oh shit, something's happened. You'll notice.
Right. But equally, and this is probably how we're going to start developing Black Lodge. And this is more interesting because as we record this is not necessarily the case because we only got a couple things spread out, maybe a couple things up to the website. Mm-hmm. But as we sort of build this out over the years, if you guys really show the interest, the hope would be that there's a stage, because now you need to be able to wikify what you have. That's not just to go and research what may have actually occurred and the people who may actually be in reality, but how they may exist in whatever reality he wishes to create.
Wishes is a strong word.
Along with anyone else who might be developing this with us.
Yes.
Or developing on the side, or receiving information. And the general idea that I would like to work towards, and this is really where I want to discuss in topics around Black Lodge, in this comment section, in the comment section on this video, is, do we think... Sorry. Often we've seen you can either produce via Creative Commons, or you can produce via a hard locked,
locked and sealed, tight held,
copyright, where the people who own it own it. I've always wanted and there are a couple of others of these examples that I'll get to, a world where the things are controlled about what is good and what is bad, so you actually have like an editorial oversight.
Yes.
But it's open for people to create with.
Yes.
So it could be easily and cheaply licensed and information shared.
Permitted to be shared about, and other people can freely write in the world. So long as they don't do anything too silly.
Right, but I mean, there might be an approval process or not. And while we're not really up to the point of that kind of polish, because we're still trying to flush out the world and see if there's interest and see what we can design with this world, we would like the Black Lodge series become something where, you would be, there's stuff that is out in the public. Mm-hmm. There's then stuff that's
a little bit.
It would be a paywall to learn about, and then there would be a small license to develop something of your own caliber. That could be a game. That could be an app. That could be you wish to expand the wiki in little places.
Any number of things.
Any number of things. And the idea would be you could share this. There have been other projects like this. One of our favorite is the Thieves World Sanctuary World, created by Robert Asprin.
And a bunch of his buddies.
And then a bunch of fellow writers. But it then created games and maps and all kinds of stuff.
Games and maps and more novels that I can't count.
There have been other projects like this that have been... there'll be a further article, and we'll probably talk about this on the next podcast.
Probably.
But there's lots of these other projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying very desperately to remember all of them.
So you remember these where we're talking about this podcast and making it and writing it up, and you get on.
Well, this is now a side topic. I'm going down a little hole here.
It's a rabbit hole time.
And we'll save it for later.
Yeah.
That's how we think Black Lodge will be potentially developed. Is a core will be created predominantly by you in the narrative. I'll have some mechanics one way. There's already some people who are playing a homebrew style RPG. Of all that, people will be then making and sort of moving it forward. And then the idea is that within our website, you can get to a wiki with the different kind of bits. And if you want to explore, you can. And then there will be all kinds of released information that would be, blogs and books, or ebooks and
books, short
games,
and that kind of stuff. I'll put up.
But the idea is it's not just the two of us in this one little company can do it, or the people who might be consulting or working for this company might do it, but other people under their own labels and their own stuff
could enter in. A lot like what's been done with Lovecraft's IP these days.
Right.
Other than,
but he's public. Yeah, he's public domain.
No,
so,
he's not quite.
Oh, he's not. He's
past 27.
I thought the big difference between him and Tolkien was he was public domain.
No, he never put a hard enough copyright on his stuff.
Yeah.
Because copyright law here, 1927 is the point where all copyrights after this point are still entirely valid, and everything from before this are public domain. The reason why it's 27 is because if they march it too far for this way, Walt Disney no longer owns his stuff, and it will always be 1927. Don't think it will ever suddenly move forward for the United States.
Steamboat Willie actually migrated.
Yes, it did.
So into the public domain.
Yes, it did. Barely.
So there might. Who knows?
It might.
We have to look into more on the IP law.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to talk IP law. It's a major topic of his. I love it too. But that's not really what we're here for.
That's the point.
We're here for Black Lodge. Yes. That's how it's going to be flushed out in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else on this narrative you'd like to add?
And I will note that in future things will smell in Black Lodge a little bit gothic horror that meets cosmic horror. We're not quite there yet.
So there's not quite monsters yet.
We haven't met the monsters yet.
Okay.
They're coming. They exist. It's just we're currently falling to more or less magicians sitting around.
And I assume these are
those sorts of things.
The monstrosities you're going to create are going to be from ancient mythos,
yes.
or like as if they're from ancient mythos,
and as well as Shelley's works and
some Lovecraft
and good old Frankensteins and vampires.
It's just expanding is what it becomes.
There needs to seem to be this hidden world, and that's really the point of Black Lodge. It's an exploration in how you hide your stuff.
Okay.
And privacy.
So, are we up to talking about the game?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we're going to sort of clean up our little notes here.
Our Madman notes. 4.
The mouse can move.
To the floor. Man, I love cuts.
Hello, and welcome back. We had a little cut there.
These things happen.
We
didn't clear the table.
So now we're talking about that game. This is going to be the Black Lodge card game. The basics of Black Lodge card game is you'll be conducting the society meeting.
Yes.
One player will conduct. It'll be called Venerable. And in general, you'll all have... that character will pass around.
Yep.
We'll be playing as 2 players, back and forth. This is a pretty, alpha sort of start.
Don't think any of this
Don't think this is final.
Yes.
But this shows you sort of the style of play.
Yeah. There is, in the game, there is a pack of characters, some of whom...
I was going to go straight to the goal, but fine.
I was going with characters because they're easy.
Let's talk about the goal. The goal is to gain renown. Renown is awarded by the Venerable, by certain cards, by being the Venerable, and then at the end of the game, if the game ends in a certain way, then if that character you're acting as at that moment
meets
the goals listed at the top of the card, they get certain payouts.
Yes.
The game will end up in all kinds of different avenues.
It's a wild game.
So you want to talk about characters?
So characters are defined by 3 traits and generally just what they are.
You want that one?
I'm just showing off.
Okay.
You're
probably not going to be able to read that at that distance. There's no way I'm reading that.
Okay. They have a title.
We will be putting up something on the screen right now.
Yep.
Hopefully you can see it as opposed to our horrible mugs. Unfortunately, it's the mug of this man.
Yep.
This man is called the Sergeant at Arms.
Yes.
He's a character. We don't need to flesh him out a name and the rest of that sort of details.
No, what is that?
You can come up with that. In general, if you notice right beneath that his name, there's those 3 comma delimited categories.
Fucking fancy terms.
Yeah. There's commas separating 3 terms, not just words. The first one is about how he feels about the lodge. It says silent. That means he wants the lodge not to be exposed for the magic being practiced in.
He wants everyone in here to be quiet about what they're doing.
Right. There's going to be a meter that runs from 1 to 13.
Yep.
If you go higher than what you're allowed for, which is about a 10, you would be exposed. There's a couple characters in here that will allow you to have a higher meter.
Yes.
Beyond 10, turn up to 11, then 12.
And then, of course, we have to go to 13.
Then up to a 13. They will allow that exposure to go higher. There are also people in here that want to expose a Black Lodge.
Yes. Journalists
And maybe, I think, a suffragette. I don't know who they are exactly. I don't have it in front of me. But there are people who want that.
Yes.
Those sorts of people will have a higher gain and more renown for exposing this Black Lodge.
Yes.
The people who are silent don't want that to happen.
And they will try to actively stop that.
Right.
Then we have the second term. That is either white magic, as is the case of this character, or black magic. It's basically how they feel about certain rituals, rites, and practices. It doesn't necessarily get tied to an end game, but it tells you how the nature of the character is. This guy...
It would allow certain cards to interact with them in a particular way. It would allow them to use certain cards, but it wouldn't stop them from doing a particular thing.
Yeah. Anyone can cast white or black magic.
Right, but there will be penalties in that character for doing certain things.
Yes, for being a mystery.
Right. And then there's the final one. And this is really what the game is all about.
Yes.
Opening and closing.
Yep.
I know, we're using that Arkham Horror beauty.
But it's tasty.
That's right. Characters will have the ability to have a ritual to then open
gates,
doors, portals, whatever you may call them, to
I like doors.
Other realms and bring things in.
All sorts of
not good. Probably horrible. I don't want to think about the things that are beyond those gates. However, Sergeant at Arms here is a closer. He wins points if the gate is closed at the end of the game.
Yes.
Or has never been opened, or it has opened, people have come through it, it is closed.
Yes.
He doesn't care if whatever's come through is alive or dead.
Not this one particularly.
Not this one particularly. Though, he's very useful for killing them. And that's where we get to the next part. The 3 bold terms, at the moment, note that we are in Alpha 0 at the moment. This is very early.
It's extremely early. This art is not final.
We would be taking this to open game nights pretty soon. Where we're probably going through the alphas pretty quickly as improvements get made. Ideally, by the time we get to beta, you might be able to get a copy of this for yourself to play and make comments on. That would be a little bit cheaper. Use not really great and polished pieces and components, but have more finalized game mechanics.
And you'll be able to tell us what you like about it and what you think is...
That's a little more involved. It really, what we really need is this video to do well. I don't know. Do you know what well is? Well.
Says the YouTube.
We'll probably there'll be a top comment in here that will say how well. Look at that.
Do it good.
Judge by that.
Do it good.
More likes, more views.
Yeah. Share it around.
More comments. That's what we're looking for. Better than our other videos on the channel is always how it goes.
Yep.
In general, each of our podcasts are going to be about sort of showing off a game like this.
Yeah.
So that's how that all comes together. Getting back. He's got that those 3 bold terms across the top.
Yeah.
He's got health. His health is high. On average,
people tend
it's about a 6.
6, maybe
He's
7.
a 10. He's a Sergeant at Arms. He's a big, beefy character that enforces the rules around the lodge.
Yes.
His damage. That's how much health that he could remove from another character.
Yes.
Notice he can just throw a one-shot an average character. If his damage is normal.
If his damage is normal and nothing.
Then you get to his fault. And his big fault is he has no power.
Yes.
He's
utterly incapable of
casting. He can't use spells without like a relic or something to help him.
And some training and some ranks. And
right.
He is a meathead.
Right.
His goal is described below, as is his ability.
Right. He's going to have gains for white magics, and he's going to have negatives for black magics.
Yes.
In general, those will be able to be determined through the play of the cards.
Yep.
And we'll show you how that comes out on the table.
Now, to look at an entirely different character, just for
You
example.
want to go for this one?
Yeah, just for example.
Hi! We're back!
Yeah, I know, right?
But another little sheet is going to be going up pretty soon.
Yes, I just need to dig for him.
Okay, which one are you going to be doing?
You know who I'm digging.
That's a good one.
That's a great one.
Alrighty. So up comes the good doctor.
I'm not referencing anything here. Wink.
In general, he's got a name, he's got some different stuff. Note, he's still silent, but he likes black magic. He's a closer, but is neutral. In general, he wants the gate closed, but he doesn't really care about what comes to the gate. It doesn't hurt people. He has,
9 health.
933. He's pretty average, but he has a lot of health, actually.
And he's a little more higher in the damage, and he's a very well-rounded character.
But is stronger than most others.
So,
a fine example would be like an academic.
Yeah. Would
be like a 4 health. Maybe a 1 in damage, but like a lot of power. Yeah. So each of these characters sort of has a different play of the game. Yeah. All right, this one, the good doctor, right here in front of us,
has a very clear goal: per successful resurrection of any kind, he gains renown.
Right. Equally, he has the ability to resurrect people without the spell of resurrection,
meaning basically. He's going to be resurrecting people all the damn time.
Hopefully, if he plays well.
If he plays well, if people are onto, he's going to be the doctor.
I understand we had 2 male characters.
There are female characters.
There's all kinds of characters in here. We don't have to show any more. It doesn't really matter. We're back to the video as John visibly
sorting around cards
through the deck. You're going to give that a shuffle.
Okay, good.
That there is our character card. This over here is what may or may not come through a gate. I'm generally hoping that we do get to a gate in front of you guys, but we won't be necessarily playing that way.
I'm kind of hoping there's never a gate, just because gates, man.
Here's the other side of life. This video is going to be living in 2 places.
Yes.
We've talked about the game and sort of what it is, but we're also going to be doing a playthrough.
Yes.
Playthrough would be on the podcast. If you're continuing to watch the long-form content, yeah, we'll play through a game. At the end, we'll probably talk about it. And we'd love to sort of hear input. This is the real reason we're doing a podcast. However, just the playthrough by itself also will be up on Sterritt Strategy.
Yes.
No, Sterritt Strategy. Strategis Primus, that thing over there. He'll have a YouTube.
Yes.
By the way, in the black spaces, sort of in here, there will be the highlighted links to each of the channels. That way. You know what's up. You know what's up. You can go quickly in between all the content. We are splicing the podcast into littler pieces.
Yep. Elsewhere.
Most likely, the littler pieces would be like maybe who are we? The what's the one in the middle? Games on the Horizon.
Games on the Horizon. That will definitely end up on Primus.
Talk about the Black Lodge start and then the game, and that's sort of how this one breaks up. This is our final section. We're not going to judge you leave at this point. But this is why we're here.
I judge everyone.
All right, then you get to the small cards. Small cards are what you get to play with. These are really your agency in the game.
Yep.
Turn that so it uses less of the space, man.
Same.
Because we're on a small table. This is what? Small.
Don't ask for units and measurements.
There are cards. There are spells in here.
Yes.
Things that you can keep and then reuse. Or in general, what a spell is. There are then relics, which you pretty much are going to use once, unless it really otherwise knows.
Or cling on to them.
Or cling on to them, and they'll be used for a ritual. Yeah. There is only one ritual in this, and that one ritual is to open up that one guy over there.
There will be more rituals in the actual version of the game. We just have one.
The idea is there's expanded deck sort of features.
Yes, but in general, the general
there will be more rituals.
Will have more stuff.
All the rituals won't necessarily be one evil black magic ritual. This is Alpha 0. But the majority of this deck is about events.
Yes,
these are things that you can do to each other that will happen immediately that will change that overall meter or number of members. Mm-hmm. And will change what occurs in the world of the game.
Yes.
There's a wide variety of them. They're kind of fun. They're going to be made more fun as the time goes on, and have a different pace. We're going to start to play. What will end up happening is we're each going to be as a player. We're going to pick a character. That character will be us in the game, but the other player doesn't get to see who that character is.
That's the fun part.
This is like your cult in black robes, hooded with no face shown.
Yeah. You don't know who the other guy is.
You don't know who everyone else is. You refer to them as brother or sister.
Fellow member. However you
the other name of the player. So I'm James, and he's John over there.
No,
so,
you just call me Primus. It's fine.
I'm not calling you Primus.
Now you see the problem. He's a party pooper.
Of the two of us, we'll select a one person to lead the meeting, which will occur each sort of round. In the meeting, they will set the agenda. There's this pile of cards that get contributed by each of the players that determine what happens during the meeting.
Yes.
That person who leads the meeting is called the Venerable, and the Venerable can, discard or collect all those cards.
If you don't like the names we're using for cults in general, you can use your own cult name.
No, tell us other names in the description.
I like them.
That Venerable
Vizier's
takes meeting notes. In general, it's about how many people are there, what their ranks and levels are. That's how many cards they can draw.
Yep.
All kinds of little
increases their powers of being able to actually perform magic.
Right. And then in general, that the last meeting note is what will happen.
Yes.
They'll note if something is open or closed. They'll note how silent we are, and they'll note how many members we have.
Yes.
Here's the big one. Everything dies, and there's only the renown that we happen to have gained remains if there are no more members left.
Yes.
Which means the game's over, and the one who just happens to have the most renown from the game is winner. Sorry, you're a little paranoid.
I'm always paranoid.
It would be really funny if by the end of the video, poof, something happens.
The gates are coming there.
The main way that the game will be played is at the end of the turn, there'll be a last meeting. You look at the meeting, the way the meeting goes affects those three little titles, and then boom, you add up some stuff at the end.
Let's get going.
We're going to get going. You start with 3 cards per player, and a character sheet that we don't know. Oh boy.
I'm having fun.
I don't think I'll have as much fun, but I'll really piss him off, which will then be more fun.
I'm having a lot of fun.
That is the kind of way that you should be playing a game like this.
Oh, I only get white magic.
Alrighty, you start as the Venerable. You can take the book out and then you have a space to write.
Put a few things around here.
Yep. Now he's making me look.
Haha.
Alrighty.
Excuse my hearing noises.
Okay. Ooh, okay.
I'm feeling pretty evil. How about you?
I wish to contribute this.
Oh, okay. Give me a minute here. I'll contribute them.
Okay.
What we're doing now is contributing things to the lodge out of our personal
Right. The Venerable decides where they go. They can either be discarded, used then, or added to a library that everyone can sort of access, but that access is determined by the Venerable during the meeting. In general, how a meeting should run is there's a lot of words spoken by the Venerable. You can run it however you wish to run a meeting. That's really the skill that you learn with this game is how to conduct a meeting, quickly and decently. Or how to mess up and deprive people of how to interact in meetings. That's the fun.
I now know what it is. I feel bad.
Alrighty.
Alright. So, I'm calling the meeting to order.
You going 3, not 2?
Always 3.
Okay.
Yeah. If I do 2 at the ring, you'll think I'm that other guy.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I have no idea. We appear to have gathered a bunch of spells.
Oh,
I like this.
what here? This is first meeting, brother.
Yes.
Hello and welcome. He doesn't want to RP it up again, apparently.
Not at the moment.
Okay.
We've gained the spell Bless. I did the same thing you did.
Yeah.
That's the fun. Premonition and also the spell Bless.
Yeah, there's two of them.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Great. There's two of them in the library now.
I had no need for such a spell.
I never have need for one.
So Premonition is the other one.
Yep.
In general, Bless will allow us to heal players.
Yep.
And then Premonition will allow us to look at the top card.
And they each have difficulties, which is the number that you must have more than to actually do the ability.
So the idea with power, and as we said before,
Losing your voice?
Yeah, no, we've been talking about it long.
I know, man.
You expend that many per meeting.
Yes.
And the way the game works is there's a meeting. Things happen during the meeting, and then there's a little after. You need power through all of that.
Yes.
Next round starts, you can redo your power.
We're now walking through our phases.
All right, you've got the cards, you collect the cards, and now what?
Now, this is the point of the meeting where if I had other actions here, I could take them or not take them.
So you choose
disavowing people.
Yeah, if they're like events of things, you
yeah. I could just disavow them right now because I feel
or
like
discipline, like he needs me to work.
That,
we're only in a
but
two-player.
we only have 3 members and 2 players already, and if I get rid of him, we'd lose a member.
We've done a horrible job explaining the rules.
Yeah, I know, right?
Kind of in flux. The way you determine the number of members is it's the number of players.
Yes.
Plus half the number of players. So that's 2 plus 1 is 3. Not really hard. The idea is this might be like an 6, 7, 8 person game.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. And then all of a sudden you're playing with
13 some odd members.
13, so yeah.
And you're
going to need a lot of lives. There's going to be a lot of sort of turnover in this.
And that's why there's a lot of characters.
Yeah.
For when you die.
All right.
On to the rest of what I can do at my meeting. I can't really do all that much now, so we come to the next phase of the meeting where we both draw.
All right, we're each rank 1.
Rank one,
we
so we
draw
draw
one card. There's a card in here that says game rank.
Yeah.
That'll be how you get to higher ranks.
Oh. That sounds terrible. Why would I want to do that? That means I do something I do not
Okay,
approve of.
now is the hidden turn.
Yes.
During this turn...
No, I have not called the meeting to close yet.
I'm very sorry, Venom.
Down you!
You're drawing a nice
I'm
fat
drawing a nice
line.
fat line to separate it off. I'm capping the pen. I'm putting the pen down.
Now, man,
I'm handing him that, passing off the title of Venerable. Now the meeting is closed.
Meeting's closed. Now's the after meeting. In this, like, one-to-one player interaction sort of style. This would be like where you start to apply and,
Plot and control and
and try to convince people that, other people may be of a certain ilk. I have the generalized feeling that you may be a black practitioner. I do not like this.
You don't like this. How do I feel? I'm casting the spell Sensing, so I get to go look at one of the cards in his hand.
If there's a card in my hand, I'm starting the meeting notes for the
I'm
next
looking
turn.
at this one because I just know you. Oh, shit, you have that. Okay.
I have 3 cards in my hand?
Yeah.
Sure?
Evidently.
Not the card sensing that you then added to it?
No, my card's over here. I have 2 cards.
Okay.
Those are your 3.
I didn't know I had 3.
You can count.
Oh. I really didn't think I had one of these. Oh, yeah, maybe I did.
We're great at this game.
Okay, cool. Meeting 2.
Yeah, cool.
You have things to contribute?
Note my renown, please.
Yes. He has led a meeting. It was successful. Nothing got disturbed during it.
Nothing bad happened.
He has 1 renown.
Yes.
Okay, we add a +1 and we'll declare that later. There will be meeting sheets in later versions. We're still determining how a meeting sheet looks. Alright, so now we have I am venerable, and we'll determine that, and then we are each of rank 1 with a 3. Alright, cool. You got anything that contributed to this? Or you just stockpiling personally? Here's the problem stockpiling personally as a strategy.
If I die, all this goes away.
Okay, I'm opening the vault. We can now dig for things to
Yes,
have.
of course.
I'm getting what I want. Alrighty.
I'm not getting what I want. Getting everything I don't want.
Anything in this meeting you want to talk about? You know, I have the generalized feeling that you might need to be punished unless you can prove yourself a practitioner of white magic.
I have already practiced white magic. You're the one who hasn't cast any spells recently.
Oh, you wish I to...
No. I don't wish you to cast anything. And I cast white magic, damn it.
You cast white magic?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
I looked at your hand.
That is white magic. I'm very sorry.
I sensed no about you.
To prove my worth,
yes,
I cast a counter. That is a spell of 3 difficulty.
You're ballsy, yeah?
I am capable of that, which is higher than your average player.
Yes. He doesn't know what I'm capable of. It's good.
Meeting adjourned. Meeting adjourned. We have picked up our cards and the rest of it. So I have 1 renown, and now we go into the darkness phase.
Into the darkness.